What is up, my fellow HHN obsessies, and welcome to the Season 3 finale of the HHN Obsession podcast, where we talk about all things HHN and obsess together over this amazing event. I am your host, JJ, and with me as always, and in the studio today, the co-ghost, James.
Co-ghost James. In person. Yeah.
That is right. And we are fresh off of our trip from HHN33. It has been one long week. My feet are exhausted. Feet pain is no joke when it comes to Universal Studios, but it's worth it. How's your feet doing?
I was chilling till the last day, and I got little crease marks right on the balls of my feet on both the inside, facing inwards.
I got an iron in the back. We can iron them down if you want.
Iron some blisters. Whatever works.
All right. Well, as I said before, welcome to the season 3 finale of the podcast. This is crazy. We have covered this season of HHN since February. And it's the first year that we've actually done that, a full year of coverage. This is episode 23 of season 3 for us, which compared to other podcasts, is not that much, but it's a lot for us. Our previous seasons only had 5 episodes per season. So we've moved up, I would say. And what's really neat is that this episode is actually episode 33 of the entire show. Yep. So it fits. And I know we promised another live episode. It just didn't work out. I had a bunch of family, and I was just focused with hanging out with them and just enjoying the final days of the event and our second trip. So I decided not to do it and just enjoy the event for what it was. But it worked out because now our finale is the 33rd episode.
We didn't leave empty-handed, though. We got a few food clips. I mean, we didn't do nothing when we were there.
Well, yeah. James was pretty much vlogging the whole time, so hopefully he could come up with something for the YouTube page.
Yes. What gets approved goes on the official page, and anything else, Scrapyard James, come to my channel. By the way, Ghost of the Day, very own JJ, 30th birthday. Proud to say.
Hey, 30 for 33.
Yeah.
On the 30th.
Yeah, it all lines up. It's a big year for lineups. I don't know, special.
Lots of threes, man. Season 3, there's just threes everywhere.
Yeah. The year of threes.
The year of threes, and there is so much to talk about with the year of threes, the year of 33. So I think we should just get started. Do you want to start with food? We could talk about food real quick. James, you're really big on the HHN food. What were your favorites this year?
I was surprised by those beans. That was a surprising thing. I mean, I didn't get to try the clam chowder. What was it? The corn chowder?
That was actually the last thing that I tried at Horror Nights. And it was on the last night. That is literally all they had left was that and the drink. And it was fine. It was beans and mashed potatoes. The cornbread was the biggest surprise. Was the sweet cornbread. So that was the best thing you tried? That was your favorite?
Tried a lot of food, but it was split into 2 different trips. Shirley Black was a damn standout. I want to accentuate that. Boba.
Yeah, I agree. It's very hard to pick what my favorite drink was. It would have to be a mix. Man, it might even be 3 drinks. So the Shirley Black was definitely the first one that I tried that was so good. I mean, nice and sweet and flavorful and kind of fruity. And the boba, the popping boba, like makes it, So I think that was number 1 because strictly the boba. The other one was actually from the Fanta bar. Behind Lombard's. It was the only drink at the event that had pineapple Fanta, and it was the Black Cat's Reprieve. Nearly perfect. And then the shocker one for me was the Insidious drink. I forget what it was called. It was like the Veil of Shadows, I think it was called. And I didn't think I was going to like it because it had black licorice kind of topped on there, garnished on the drink. But it was actually like an alcoholic fruit punch. Between those three drinks, those were my favorites. Those are the standouts of the year. I did try a few others, but those were definitely the top notch. Favorite food for me by far. You can listen to the live episode and hear my reaction of it. The hot dog from the Slaughter Cinema booth, which is weird to say. My favorite item was a hot dog, but it was the sweet beans it had, the crunchy Cheetos, and then the spice.
Sweet beans.
Yeah, sweet beans, the spicy like peppers that they put on it, and then just the savoriness of the hot dog. Just so many flavors going on. It was perfect.
You sure it wasn't
Perfect.
the mouthful of marshmallow? Come on.
I didn't have the marshmallow, man. No, 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 no.
You don't want to choke on a marshmallow? Come on.
No. No. But that is the one I'm going to miss the most. The other thing that was a huge surprise to me was eggs in the further. It was
Right.
literally just a piece of bread with an egg cooked in it, and it had some kind of like tomato sauce on it. It was a hit. It was a surprise, and I don't know. I'm just sad I'm never going to have these items again.
Well, I gotta say, I kind of missed out on the drinks this year because I left my well, I got a replacement license, but it was printout and
So what you're trying to say is you forgot your temporary ID and they didn't serve you any alcohol this year, huh? Or this second trip?
saved me money.
That's true. You did save a lot of money on that.
No, it was good times otherwise.
Let's move on real quick. I want to talk about Halloween Nightmare Fuel. James unfortunately didn't get to see it. He missed the opportunity when I went to see it, and then he tried to go see it on the final night and didn't. Um,
I saw the line. I saw two
he,
lines.
he didn't know how powerful that fan base is on the final night of HHN. There's almost no way of getting in there unless you're waiting in line all night long to get in that show on the final night.
All night long. Nah, but look, I wasn't bothered. I mean, yeah, I missed out. I don't know what I missed, but that's the point. I don't know what I missed, so I'm all right.
Well, check it out. So, out of all the Nightmare Fuel shows, I'm going to say this, it was the best one.
Oh,
I
yeah?
thought it was great.
Hmm.
It was fantastic. The story changed. Another bonus, another point up. It was great to see something different with Halloween Nightmare Fuel. And the circus theme worked.
Tell me there was a hula hoop on fire. Tell me. Yes.
Yes.
All
Yeah,
right.
they jumped through it.
Okay, now I'm mad. I missed it. I wanted a hula hoop.
You wanted a hula hoop.
Yeah.
Yeah. it was a great show, but the amount of anxiety and sardine crap that you have to go through, and what I mean by sardine is they pack you in there like sardines, and it's just so cramped, and you're literally walking like penguins trying to get into the show and out of the show. To me, it is not worth seeing that show more than once because of that reason. It's so bad, and it's mostly because there's only one show. And this will probably change next year because the Lagoon show will probably be open, and maybe even another thing. That would be amazing if there just suddenly was 3 shows. But with one show at the event, it becomes such a bottleneck there, and the experience sucks, dude. And you have to get there so early. We got there 45 minutes. 45 minutes before showtime, and we almost didn't make it in. But I had a good time with the actual show itself, not the experience of getting in and out, but the actual show was a lot of fun. I was happy to see a lot of different things. The cast was great. The dancing was great. The tricks, all that stuff. It's a good show, but that's all I could say. It's a good show.
Yeah.
It's not worth the experience though for me.
Probably appropriate to say goodbye at this point, right? It's a good send off now that they did it right.
I think it is a good send off, but I also don't think it's going away anytime soon. I think it'll be back next year and the year after that.
This current version, probably minor tweaks.
I hope not. Let's not do that. Let's change it up again.
Yeah.
But what are they going to do? Space next time?
Flames in space, fire, space fire. Interesting.
Nightmare Fuel goes to the beach.
No. No. Maybe not.
I'm sorry. I'm not making fun of this. I promise. I did love the
Yeah.
show.
This is just, not troubleshooting. What do you call it? Idea shooting. Spitting out loud.
Um, but that's my thoughts. Halloween Nightmare Fuel Nocturnal Circus was the best iteration of that show, hands down. That's my final review. Let's move on to Scare Zones.
Mm-hmm.
We'll start getting into the juiciness of the event this year. In prior seasons, we hadn't ranked Scare Zones. This year, I say let's do it.
Yeah.
I think we both can agree what number 5 is, right? We don't even have to even do anything.
Can I guess?
Sure.
Is it the square zone?
That's what it should have been called.
Yeah.
The Square Zone is number 5, and that is Duality of Fear. Literally just an intersection full of chainsaws. So a chainsaw horde.
The fork in the road that would have already been there, they're like taking credit for that. They put like 3 little chainsaws.
It does seem like every year needs chainsaws, and they kind of last minute said, "Oh, let's just put them here. We don't know what the scare zone's going to be. Let's just put them there," right? And it was just confined to this little space. But you know what? I'm all about chainsaws. I love chainsaws, and the little time that we did spend in there, I enjoyed seeing them. And every time we walked through there, they were intense.
Yeah, if I had to take chainsaws over no chainsaws, I mean, yeah. But I'll say if I said it once, I'll say it again. Chainsaw hordes used to mean something.
That's going to go down in HHN history books, ladies and gentlemen.
Put it on a shirt.
We should make shirts.
If y'all care about shirts, let us know, or else we're not going to bother.
Stickers too.
Woo-hoo.
This guy's an artist, and I keep telling him he needs to make different designs for stickers. Even shirts. We could put them on the shirts too.
Yeah. Sticker sheets, sticker whatever's, shirts, yeah.
Anyway, so the chainsaws, anytime we walk through there, I mean, they were going after it. I mean, they were giving all they could. They knew this was one of the cases this year where they knew that people thought that scare zone was a little weak. So I think they were giving it everything they had.
Yeah, nothing against the actors. They knew
Not
they
at
were
all.
fighting an uphill battle. It's
Not
not
at all.
on them.
Absolutely. All right. I also believe our number 4 is going to be the same.
I don't know. I'm not sure about the scare zones. Maybe we're the same.
Okay. Okay. You want me to go first, or do you want to say it at the same time?
You go first this time.
Okay.
Or you think at the same time?
Let's do this. I think we might be the same.
Okay.
3, 2, 1. Blumhouse.
Oh, okay. I was Swamp of the Undead.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I think I was scared for the scare zones. I mean, I'm not too concerned. I'm not going to get crucified or nothing. But yeah, I think people might disagree. Probably. you too.
I mean, not that much. It was number 3 for me. I'll just say that. It was my number 3 scare zone. It was nowhere near the best Central Park zone that they've done, obviously, because you can't really compete with the pumpkin stuff and everything else they've done in that zone. But I did love the atmosphere of it. They did what they could to it. They made that little park tree area into a swamp, and the misters were a nice touch. I just think that the zombie thing is just overdone at this point. Maybe they just need to take a break with zombies, especially because of The Walking Dead. I think The Walking Dead just ruined zombies at HHN for a long time.
You heard of superhero fatigue? We got zombie fatigue over here. It's a thing.
100%. Although we didn't witness or experience the Walking Dead phenomenon at HHN, it just seems like a last minute thing. Maybe that's just me. That's what it felt like.
Yeah, my reasoning is a little different than you. The location itself, not my favorite location. The bottleneck situation, all that. Yeah.
That's interesting you say that, because this year, and even last year was different because the crowds were low. This year, every day was pretty busy. And every time I walked through Swamp of the Undead, it wasn't jam-packed. It was easy to walk through.
Let me ask you this. Did you go during the day? Every year you compare the day and night, right?
Yeah.
Me, I'm usually a night guy, and it's pretty dark. It's the area itself, for me, not my favorite. I think areas are a big factor for me. I don't know.
Okay, but you mentioned bottleneck. You experienced it whenever it was super packed?
I have in the past, and that one usually, yeah, you got to watch out for elbows and next to you. It's
Yeah.
always that situation. It's less walking through the zone, more watching out for people.
Can I just say that I think the way that they've moved around some of the houses and some of the zones, I think it helped that Central Park zone get less crowded because there's not a whole lot going on. It's just kind of a walkthrough to get to the back. I don't know, maybe that's not it, but I just felt like even on the busy nights, that zone wasn't that packed. It was like one of the least crowded zones this year. That was from my personal experience, so don't take that as like everybody's experience. What I saw, it wasn't that packed.
And y'all trust him more than me because I only went 3 days in this last thing. Like this year is the first year we split our thing into two. We compared the beginning and the end, so we got a good sampler plate of everything. But definitely take my words with a grain of salt. And JJ's the voice of reason, I guess, over here.
Okay, so Swamp of the Undead was 4 for you. It was my 3. What was your 3?
You're gonna be mad.
No.
Yeah,
Don't you dare.
everyone's favorite, everybody's favorite. Sorry, Demon Queens, right? Yeah, you're mad. I can explain, but you react.
Leave a comment down below if I should fire him and find another co-ghost.
It'll save me money.
That's true.
Again, with areas, it's just that's that one complete opposite of the bottleneck situation. It's spread out, it's nice. It is kind of dark for me. I mean, vision's a thing. Hey, and the scares were good there, and I like the makeup and everything going for it that they won for. Completely to their credit. Like I'm not taking anything away. It's just my personally, I don't like that area. Yeah, I'm a big area person. I don't know. I don't like to go to the right to the little Hollywood. Right, that's the Hollywood. Eh, not my favorite part of the park.
So you're judging it by the location?
Yeah, that's a factor.
That shouldn't be the main factor. Like, oh, it's number 3 because
I wouldn't say it's main, but it's a factor.
my number 2, and this is telling.
Yeah.
Torture Fair.
Oh snap!
Torture Fair is my number 2 scare zone. And let me just say that at first, this was my favorite zone on the first trip. And I guess this is a good time to mention that a lot changed between our first trip and the second trip. Especially the houses changed so much. My list changed so much from the first week we went
Definitely
to our second week. Big time. The first week we went, Torture Fair was my number 1 because we spent a lot of time in there. And it's a great zone. There's a lot going on. There was a lot of great characters in there, great actors. I will forever remember the little stand where the guy's selling body parts, and there's like a little suit of armor right next right next to the booth that's scaring the hell out of people. My family that was there on multiple occasions, I took them to the booth since they hadn't been to it before, and I set up the suit of armor to get them, and it worked every time. I was like, "Oh, you got to come check this out! Look at this booth!" And then, bah! It was so much fun. And we actually closed out HHN33 in Torture Fair. I kind of regret it a little bit. I really wanted to close out Demon Queens, and I should have went with my gut.
Oh, really?
But for some reason, I was like, I bet the fun crowd and the fun things that are going to happen and the cheering and all that is going to happen in Torture Fair this year. I think it might have been a little better to see the end of Demon Queens, but I don't know. Either way, it was a good time, a good closing in Torture Fair. Everybody was clapping and cheering. The other cast, I guess it was either cast A or I guess it was cast A because cast B would be the last one. I don't know, but whatever the other cast was, they were there, out of costume, hanging out with the final cast of the night, cheering everybody on. Everybody was hugging each other, crying. Everybody made a parade toward the gate at the very end and cheered everybody on. I love that energy every single final night. I love to be there and see it and get some good footage of it.
Yeah, y'all actors, leave a comment. How what's it like to be treated like the Beatles at the end of the night?
I mean, imagine working for over 2 months, as that character, and then Just the vibe that it's all coming to an end. It must be a good feeling to have the fans and to have your fellow scare actors that you've been working with all this time, cheer you on and celebrate with you. Celebrate, a great event that you were a part of.
Yeah, they got not one but two encores of One More Tongue. They got two extra tongues cut out.
That was my number 2. What is your number 2, James? I just realized which one you still haven't said, so I'm interested.
This wasn't going to be higher than the others, but I'll tell you why it grew on me and it climbed. Look, I was bummed when the Megan Horde was not coming back. It's Blumhouse, by the way. I was like, oh, they're gonna put Megan in a little box by herself, sad, and along with the other guys, they're all in like little exhibit cages. But check it out, my tune changed when I saw them not smothered, not crowded, and they had their little display. I mean, it was sad they're on a stage, but hey, they got to pose and they got to dance their hearts out against the situation they were in. So they were on a good showcase. I don't know. It was a good photo op. Like they were interacting with whoever was willing instead of everyone who maybe is not willing. I didn't hate it. It grew on me. I saw their performance.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's a decent review. I can understand that.
And I could see them.
My problem with Blumhouse was that one. That was the most crowded bottleneck zone this year. 100%.
Yeah, that's true.
Every single time. That was the bottleneck zone. And one of the main problems is they put Megan and the grabber from the black phone on the same stage at the entrance at one side of the zone. Those are the two most popular characters in that whole zone, and they put them together at the entrance, so everybody was trying to take pictures with them. Worst idea. They should have separated those, put the other one on the other end, at least, right?
Yeah. It's like what your sister said. Where were the thinkers? The thinkers were not there. I like how she said that. It's a good term. Thinkers. Absent.
And just to me, like the characters were roaming around, but it just felt like there wasn't enough characters. And that might be because they knew that it was going to be bottleneck, so they put less characters in there.
That's a lot of credit for them.
Yeah, but it also to me really felt like a studio wanted this to happen. They said, okay, we'll do it. It seems like a cash grab for Blumhouse or Universal, whatever the case was.
And they snuck in Wolfman, huh? In the side of it. He had a little stand over there, a little photo op.
Do you know the story about that? Did we talk about that?
Oh, people didn't like him, right?
Well, he was there for one night, and the reviews were so bad that it got out of the HHN community social media and got onto major news outlets that it looked bad.
That kind of never happens. It stays in our little pocket.
Exactly. So because of that, it never reappeared. The scare actor never came back. The actual banner that it stood behind, the backdrop, was there for a couple more days, and then they took it down.
Dang.
So, yeah.
No, I didn't know that whole saga. That's dang.
So people got to see the Wolfman for one night.
Lucky.
And it wasn't opening night.
Hey, that makes sense though. How often is there a full moon? One night.
Ah.
Right? There you go.
Okay. Now my number 1 scare zone was Demon Queens. And again, it wasn't my number 1 at first, but this second trip that we did, I got to spend more time in there, and I just thought that zone was beautiful, and it was just a blast to be in there. The scare actors were everywhere. Like, it's a smaller space than the New York zone, but it's still a big zone. And it was jam-packed with scare actors. They were everywhere. Like, it felt like they were coming from all angles, all around you. It was just an experience to go in there. That was probably the only zone that I was actually walking around in circles for a good while to just enjoy it. I had a great time in that scare zone, and I'm really, really going to miss it. And I wish I would have closed out the night in it. But props to the Demon Queens, and congratulations to the Demon Queens because they won Zone of the Year. I think it's well deserved. Now, let me just say this. There was a lot of people that were the big fans of Torture Fair that think that they got snubbed from the award, but they were both great in their own way. But I personally think the Demon Queens was just a little better. Also, Torture Fair seems so quiet. There was something off about it.
Yeah, the music wasn't as well. First impression Torture Fair when we went over there.
Number one, right?
Yeah, it's my number one now. But look, my brother and his wife, they do Ren fairs. I've never done it myself, and I was a little confused. Like, is it in a fantasy land or is this a Ren fair that went wrong? Right? But I stopped caring. I went through it. It's just that area has the overhead lights and the pacing. I think is I mean, of course the Vamp 69 was they fully utilized the thing, and I don't know. It's like you said they have like eventful booths. Like there's always like a situation like the cow with the steaming the brand and but but yeah, definitely. What is it? The little merchants stand with the Knight of Armor, and I want to call out the Knight of Armor or the actor. That has to be the best job, right? It's the most. It's you stand and you get the worthwhile scares. I'm just. It grew on me, and it's the area too. I'm a big person.
He was the one like surprise like jump scare in the zone, so it had to have been fun in there.
And they just got the main stage, and it's right in front of the tribute store. It's like central. It's always number one area for me. What they do with it, I wasn't in love with it with what they did with it this time, but they crushed what they had. Yeah.
Something I should say is, out of all the time I spent in Demon Queens, I never really got to see the whole surreal show that she would do on the stage. I saw Sinister a lot do her show on the stage, but I never really saw Surreal do much. Unfortunately, I never just had the timing right for that.
You know their argument?
Even with missing the surreal moments of the zone, it's still my number one. So to me, that says something. But what were you saying, James?
I'm saying, you know why? Is because Sinister is the physical. So you're going to see more of her, and then Surreal is like floating around as a concept.
Oh, snap. Oh, snap. Yeah. That's good. That's good. I like that.
Yeah, excuses work.
All right. That's our zones. Anything else before we move on?
The tongue cutting was it. I mean, just people cheering. I don't know. It's a whole... Yeah, it was good. I guess I don't. No, y'all actors, 8.
All right. It is time to discuss what everybody listens for.
The main event.
The main event. The house rankings for HHN33. Dude, like I said, it changed so much from the first trip. And it even changed while we were there. Like the last night that we were there, stuff changed for me. My list changed. Because what I noticed on November 3rd, those scare actors were going hard in every single house. So I do want to give props to everybody who worked that night because I saw it. I saw that you guys were giving it your all because you knew it was your last night. They were going hard, man. I'm going to tell you this. My number 10 was different the day before the final night. But I went through a house on the final night and it moved from my number 10.
No, mine shifted a lot too.
And we discussed a lot on our previous episode, our first impressions episode, that this year just felt off, mostly because of, the budget stuff, like the sets. The houses did improve so much for me on this second trip. Of course, those sets didn't change, but going through the houses a little more and paying attention to the story, like I said I was going to do, did help a lot. But also, those scare actors, once again, it's because of them I was enjoying myself. This time, it was to a whole nother level. And I'm not talking about that final night anymore. I'm just saying in general, that final week, they were on their game compared to the first week. And the first week, they were doing amazing. But they were full on locked into their roles by then. and you could see it. And I had never experienced that before. You had never experienced that before. But that was the beauty of going the first week and the last week, because I definitely saw a huge difference.
Yeah, we were looking for that stark contrast, and we found it.
Absolutely.
We were warmed up.
All right. Who's going first?
Well, how do you want to end it? So that's the big question. Who's going to go last? So who goes first? Who's going to be the final? You probably want to go number one, right? So I'll go first.
Okay, sure. I am curious. Yeah. So you go first. What is your number 10? And I swear to God, if it's something I love.
You'll be cool. You'll be cool with it.
Okay.
Triplets.
Okay. What's your take on triplets? Why did you put it at number 10? Triplets a tear, number 10. Okay. Let's do this.
I think I expected more. I try not to expect before I go into these. Like I go in blind, no expectations, but I couldn't help it if they gave me the tropes to base my thoughts on, and I was going in thinking like, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, that family, all kooky, crazy, and then you got Three from Hell. You got a lot of examples to go off, and I liked the story that they went through, but it was kind of loose. Like I couldn't grasp the story. Like it was going through houses that connected to other houses, which I get it. They're going through the neighborhood, I suppose, and I think they undersold it.
That's unfortunate that you never got the story. I actually understood it a lot more the second trip that we did, and it did make me appreciate it a little bit more. And I'll talk about that once I rank it. But I understood the story once we got to the second trip. But the first trip is I didn't really catch on.
A big standout is the clean corners. Like it was very geometric. Like usually you can shroud the transition, the edges, and it kind of fades into itself. This was pretty cookie cutter. Like you could see all the crispness of each home. I wasn't very in it. I don't know. It was like I don't know if they rushed it, or I don't really know why things were like that. I don't know. Maybe they were just didn't have enough.
Well, the big rumor was that this replaced an IP, but apparently that rumor is not true. This was always part of the plan. So I don't believe it to be rushed. And I don't want to speak too much about it yet, but it was one of the houses that felt a little short to me.
Mm.
I think that was a big issue, but I'm going to talk about that a little bit later.
Yeah, I don't have my old list, but I remember this was at number 3.
Oh, so that was your hype?
Yeah.
This was my number 2. I believe Triplets of Terror was my number 2 on the hype.
Yeah.
So
mine went down.
All right. My number 10, and again, this changed because of my final run of multiple houses. A lot of stuff moved around that last day. And this one is going to be a little controversial. And I always say controversial because there's always something that people will love, certain people will love, and certain people don't like. It's always a mixed bag. This is one of them.
You might be safe. I put the zone of the year, the favorites, at number 3. So like I'm the target.
But dude, let me tell you something.
All right.
and I'm stalling with this, but so many people had this at number 1. Let me give examples. We ate at City Walk almost every night that we were there. I asked our waiter at Twosomes what their favorite house was. It was this one. I asked our waitress at the NBC Grill what her favorite house was. It was this house. Oh. Another example, that the SNL girl, she posted that she was at Universal. This was her favorite house.
So you got a big dog at the bottom, huh?
I did.
Uh-oh.
And it wasn't originally. It was a little bit higher. But because of my last run and because of my last run of another house, it changed.
Yeah, I'll trust your reasoning.
My number 10 stayed the same as the hype, and that is Goblin's Feast.
Dang.
I don't get it. And it might be the fantasy thing. I don't know. But let me just preface again that I had a lot of fun with this house. Actually, all the houses were great this year. And the first trip, I probably wouldn't have agreed with that statement. This year, I believe all the houses were great. They were good. They weren't like top tier houses, but all were great. There was no Dueling Dragons for me or like a Spirits of the Coven type of house this year.
Hey, Dueling Dragons be nice.
Ah, I will forever stand by that house being bad. Now, however, I did compare this house to Dueling Dragons because of the fantasy aspect.
Yeah.
It did have fantasy, but it was also very comedic, and I did enjoy that aspect of it. Um, I loved that it just starts off hilarious. I mean, as soon as you walk in through the door, the facade had the banner of Goblin's Feast, and if you looked right behind the banner, it said Human Chop House.
Yeah.
Like they were trying to hide the fact that they were trying to bring you in as a tourist, and
Great detail.
yeah, as soon as you walk in, there's goblins that are greeting you, and they're like, take them in the back for meal prep. One of those goblins is like they're picking their nose and stuff like that, like, and or, it's not ready yet.
Yeah.
It is one of those houses that is very quotable. It had a lot of quotable moments. To me, another thing about it was the shortest house for me personally. It felt like it was the shortest of the year. I don't know if it actually was, but the pacing maybe. I don't know. A couple of great standouts was the scene with the whole water wheel thing. They built that whole set in there. That was amazing. Right before that, there was a random thing where you looked up and there was like a projector showing a screen of a goblin doing something. I don't know what that was and what it was for, but if you looked up, you saw an image being projected of a goblin in the ceiling. Did you ever see that? I tried to point it out to you.
You're talking about in the ceiling because I saw it through a window ahead of us, like against a wall,
No,
and
like,
it was like a big thing, like a big face, like a big creature. I don't know if it was a goblin or what, but it was looked bigger than it was supposed to be.
oh, I'm not sure. I just remember looking straight up and I could see it like in a hole.
Huh.
From what I gathered, though, as you walk through, you had the cooks out of the goblins, and then the further in you went, they got kind of fancier. Like the food was going to the kings and the queens of the goblin world.
Yeah, I'll say the giants and the orcs. I'm not sure what like there were giant hands in there. I don't know if there were statues. There was a giant statue. JJ pointed out.
Yeah, I didn't see the giant statue until the second trip, and it was like the third day of the trip where I looked up and saw this statue. I never noticed it because a character would just pop out of it, and it just looked like a normal curtain. But when you look straight up, it was a tall statue of a goblin, and it was right after you see the giant hand. So it makes me wonder if the line of "You're disrespecting the ancestors" are the giants the ancestors?
Yeah, or the orcs or something, because they said there's goblins, hobgoblins, an assortment, and I couldn't really differentiate.
Yeah. I mean, I'm talking a lot about this house because I did still love it. I mean, I guess that shows a lot of the list this year. But it had to land at my number 10 this year. And let me also just say that this might have been the hardest list to rank for me. And I said that last year. I think it was harder this year, mostly because a lot of the houses were on the same level to me. It was very, very hard. So, yeah, that's my number 10.
Yeah, I'm always a toss up because you can't really base anything on my list. I'm a weirdo. I'm like an outlier. I come for the fun, and then I don't agonize like JJ does. I have my tops and my bottoms, and then I kind of sort those. So my number 9, it's not bad. It's just where it is. It's the museum, Deadly Exhibits, and that's because they went hard that last night. And it's nothing against them, but it's at number 9. It's just yeah, I still have questions about the rotting stone. like first of all, Night at Museum is what your mind goes to, so you think like not the slab from Courage, but like the thing, I'm gonna call it the slab. I don't know what to call it. It's the magical thing that brings everything to life. And the rotting stone, I'm not sure. I can't even point it out. I don't know which one it was. It was one of two things to me. I don't know. I can't point it out. But Yeah, I don't know if you touch it and you rot, or the thing is alive and it's rotting, or it's bringing everything that's alive. And then, yeah, I have questions about the rotting stone. That's the museum, deadly exhibits.
Interesting. Yeah, it was one of those that felt a little off with the story, or a little rushed with the story.
Just happens to be at number 9. That's all.
Yeah. I'll wait until I rank it, but I'm still not there. My number 9 saddens me a little bit.
Oh,
This might be a shocker too. For me personally, my number 9 and the biggest drop from my hype list by a lot is Monstros, the monsters of Latin America. That was number 1 on my hype list. The biggest issue I had with that house was, to me, those sets were nowhere near what I expected to see in that house. They were so, in my opinion, bare bones. And I explained that on my first impressions, and that brought it down a lot. I don't know if it was just because I had my expectations too high and that ruined it for me. Now, with that said, there were some amazing parts of this house. The biggest highlight to me was the El Silbon section, mostly because it was the biggest section of the house. Like, it was very El Silbon heavy. Those stilt walkers were going hard, man. And El Silbon was the one that made you crumble on the first night.
Yeah.
Popping out at the very end of the house. The final night that we were there, the first El Silbon Stiltwalker walks out. This is like in the middle of the house. He walks out from my right, and gives me a little jump, and I cheer and clap. And as I'm cheering, I turn to keep going in front of me, and there's another El Silbon with his head peeking out of the door frame sideways, and he has his hand directly in my face, and it got me so good, so good. They were working together, man. They were working together.
Yep.
And it was one of the best scares of that final night. Definitely of the house. So it's number 9, but it was still a fun time. Let me mention the Telapuchi, I think is the way you say it. The first legend that we see in the house, very underwhelming. I think it was a bit of a waste, in my opinion. Nothing really happened. I mean, you see a mother crying over a bloody stroller or whatever it was, and then you see the Delapucci with a big clawed hand eating the baby. It wasn't really scary. They didn't really jump out you very much. So to me, that legend was kind of a little bit of a waste. And then we get to the La Lechuza. To me, that legend, I grew up on it. We talked about that a lot. The animatronic that came from Hollywood last year was insane. One of the biggest, greatest parts of that house. And what's crazy is the first day that we saw it on the first trip, I don't think they had the smell pumping in there, because I didn't notice it until the second trip. They had a poop smell in there. And because I smelt the poop smell, I actually noticed that room was full of bird poop, piles and piles of it. And I didn't even notice that the first time. So that was a nice touch.
Yeah, they were very extra with the excrement.
But nonetheless, Monstros is my number 9, unfortunately. Still a great house. I still loved it every time I went through, but it is number 9.
But they cheated though. I'll stand by it in the way that I couldn't stand when he scared me, because he was after the house and behind above. That's like bird of prey tactics. Okay, that's not fair anymore. Okay, he electrified my legs. I almost collapsed. Almost. Anyway. Well, my number ocho.
Is that a hint?
No, I did that last time too. Dang it. I got Universal Monsters, Eternal Bloodlines. At number 8.
Okay.
Yeah.
What you got?
Well, I was bummed that the main chick died. She got her head cut off. She was like our hero. What the heck? That's not how you end a story. I was like rooting for her.
Right?
Yeah.
I can totally agree with that. And again, I'm trying really hard not to say a whole lot whenever it's whenever it's your turn to go,
Right.
because I want to say stuff whenever I come to it. But anything else on it? Like what did you think of the house overall besides?
Look, girl power, right? I
Yeah,
mean, look, they did exactly. I'm happy with what they did. They performed exactly as they should. It wasn't brought to attention like, "Hey, we're all women, girl power," right? It was just they killed everyone, and I was bummed for Frankenstein. I mean, how intricately his guts were like sewn together, and they're just on display. They're just shredded like spaghetti. Oh, why are you killing Frankenstein? What did he do? He didn't do anything. He's on your side. I don't know. It was just a massacre. It seems senseless. I don't know.
I'll say this for now. I think that some of it didn't quite make sense. Like why I didn't quite pick up why Saskia teamed up with the bride of Frankenstein,
Right.
and they set off to kill the
Yeah, what's the plan exactly?
female mummies. What were they called? Oh, Nux in a Moon. I guess that's who it was. So a Nux in a Moon and the she wolf. Why they were doing that, I'm not sure. I mean, obviously there was something with her avenging her father.
And the she wolf was flying for some reason. That's cool. I mean, I'm not against flying werewolves, but hey, on a
Hey,
zip line,
hey, it was a cool
it
effect.
was cool.
I love those
I, w-
bungee scares.
I wish the zip line would have broke. I would have caught her in my arms. That's what I say.
Aw,
I don't mind your little mustache. It's cool.
swoop her up.
Yeah.
It'll be like the mummy ride, the ghostly swoosh.
Yeah.
Okay, so my number 8 was my number 10 before the final night. So it moved up 2 notches because of the experience I had in the final run of the house. And that is the museum deadly exhibits. That final run was so good. So good. And let me tell you, I mentioned that the scare actors were going hard that final night. These people were going 10 times harder than everybody else.
Yeah, it was the best at the end. Definitely. No question.
The biggest thing I can say is all those scare actors were running out of their boo holes, like running towards you. And they were far from their boo holes. And it was stuff that I just was not expecting. And they were coming from all corners. Just because of that cast, it jumped up 2 notches because of that final night. The story, meh. The sets, meh. It was strictly the scare actors that brought it up to number 8 for me. They made it a fun time.
The detail is kind of lazy, right? You could tell it was all like caulking or what do you call it? The insulation foam.
It did look like that, definitely.
Pretty
They
basic.
just put the caulking over the strings of lights. So as soon as you walk into that house, you see that security guard without the limb, and there's this creature on the desk that I swear they just repurposed a Last of Us costume. Am I right?
Yeah, the mouth was attached to the chest, so it was a big open face. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure it was recycled.
Yeah. They like just made some adjustments to it maybe, and
Yeah.
so that kind of knocked it down, but the museum was just something that I expected it to be one thing, and it just wasn't. Like I really thought this was going to be the terrifying original house this year, kind of like Darkest Deal or something. It just wasn't what I expected. It was very different for whatever reason. It was this rotting stone making the exhibits come to life. But why was it bringing them to life? Why does this stone have powers?
What's my motivation?
Yeah.
The Rock.
And then you get to the end of this house, and it's just this giant styrofoam looking rock, and it was a little underwhelming. But like I said, those scare actors were just going hard, and it made my experience much better. So that's what I got to say for the museum.
Ditto.
always the shortest wait too. I think because everybody had this very low on their list, even just the average theme park goer. It was very nice to see a change in the lines, and we talked about this before. They, for the first time, put an entrance at the Simpsons ride to this house, and it made the walk much better, much easier, and I hope they keep doing that. All right, you're number 7.
Siete. Again, not a clue. Number 7, Slaughter Cinema 2.
Oof.
Yeah. Well,
Oof.
look, it's not bad. It's just the others are better. I love the assortment. You know, they had a good spread again with the spread. No, but I liked all the variety. But again, it's like standalones, and arguably they are cutting room floors. You know, they are recycled. Nothing against that. I actually celebrate that. But yeah, as a house itself, it's more of a showcase than one house to show you. So
It's a sample platter, man.
yeah,
You're getting samples of these ideas.
yeah, and I hope they run with some. There's fun stuff in there.
Apparently, they are going to run with one of them.
Do you know which?
Remember we talked about it?
Maybe.
So if you don't already know, they did say that because they took Yeti from the first Slaughter Cinema and made that kind of its own house and franchise,
Mm-hmm.
they're planning on doing the same with Slaughter Cinema 2. But they wanted to see the fans' reactions first to see which one is the big fan favorite. So nobody really knows what that's going to be. Out of all the movies in there, which one would you like to see the most as its own house? I'm curious.
I was gonna say until now, no, breaking. I don't. The shark. Yeah,
You want a Jaws house?
yeah, yeah.
You see, remember whenever you made fun of people that wanted a Treehouse of Horror house and said to just quit and stop crying?
Like The Simpsons.
Yeah.
Treehouse of Horror.
Or not a house, to lay over the Treehouse of Horror on the Simpsons ride. I feel like it's the same thing for all the people that want a Jaws house. it's almost impossible to do a whole house on a shark. How are they going to do that?
Well, do it like the movie. Tease it a lot.
But
Have the settings. Have
you know what? I say that, but before this year, it was almost impossible to have a Quiet Place house. So
yeah, crazy things happen.
crazy things do happen. So I don't know. Maybe out of all the movies of that house, it's a hard one. I think Mardi Gras Murders for me, but that's also, I don't know how much they could do with that. But it's a slasher house, so
Yeah,
I think it could be fun if it's like Mardi Gras themed, if it's actually in the streets of like Louisiana or something.
yeah. You could have fun with some settings, and it's kind of an untapped category, right? That's kind of rare. Mardi Gras.
Yeah, I believe they did a scare zone called Zombie Gras, again with the zombies.
Rarely touched, maybe not untapped, but less populous.
Yeah. So I think out of all the movies, my pick would be Mardi Gras Murders. I think that'll work
No,
the
you know what
best,
it is?
maybe.
The Chris Kringles, what are they? The Killer Kringles. That was fun. More Santa killing.
You think so?
Hold still. Fun.
I've never really experienced a Christmas house, but I feel like they've done it better than that.
Oh, I want more. Yeah, bring that back for the holidays.
And
do a special event.
all right, I won't talk about Slaughter Cinema because I still have to get to mine.
Spoilers is happening.
And my number 7 is the Universal Monsters Eternal Bloodlines.
All right. Not too different. Yeah.
Not too far off for that one. To me, the weakest Universal Monsters that we've had, unfortunately. The first trip that we went on, this was going to be a little bit lower. But my second trip made it a little better. I understood the story a little bit more. I think there's still some gaps that I didn't understand. But at first, I did not pick up that Saskia died. I noticed that on the second trip. Toward the very end, you see one of Dracula's daughters holding the head of her, and the Bride of Frankenstein is just screaming like no. And then at the very end of the house, the Bride of Frankenstein is wearing Saskia's gear.
Oh,
what's up with that? I don't.
The disrespect.
I just don't quite understand why they were teaming up. I'm sure there was a reason. I'm sure they were trying to to tell a certain story of what they were doing. It of course looked like she was avenging her father, but for some reason she teamed up with the Bride of Frankenstein, and in the process, the she wolf killed her lover. We see the death of Frankenstein's monster in there, which is weird because the last time we saw those two characters was in the Bride of Frankenstein Lives, my favorite Universal Monsters house. And that was such a great story. And it ended with her reviving Frankenstein's monster and then being together again. And then the next time we see Frankenstein's monster, he's dead.
Shredded.
Shredded.
He's just Frankenstein. What do you do? He's not opposition.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, through the spine, through the guts. My Frankenstein.
It was an okay house. I just love the Universal Monsters a lot, and because I, noticed a little bit of the story, a little bit more, I enjoyed the sets. It got to my number 7, just barely. So that's where I'm at with it. I really enjoyed those new tents. I feel like they could use them a little bit better next time, but I love that those are some new venues. I love the fact that this time they had us just walk back there and we could do those two houses back to back without having to go in circles and go far.
That was a nice touch.
Anyway, Universal Monsters Eternal Bloodlines. It's a good time. All right, we're at number 6 now.
My number 6, Insidious the Further.
Oh, what?
Oh, number 7, sorry. Oh, no, I'll put it at number 8. Oops.
What did you just say on this podcast?
Insidious. I said Insidious.
I think, I'm pretty sure you wrote that down wrong. Number 6, sir. You have that at number 6.
Yeah, number 666.
No, hold on. Let me just clarify. You have Insidious at number 6. Oh, no, hold on. Is it at number 6? Is it at number 6? Is it number 6?
It is Insidious. Insidious. Indeed, it's Insidious. Indeed, it's Insidious. It is. I'm guessing you have it higher.
I have yet to strangle this person next to me.
I think it's a pretty good guess. You got it higher.
See, when you put Exorcist Believer at number 10, this is worse.
What? It's number 6.
This is worse.
It's not at number 10.
You put Insidious at number 6.
I like you. You give me more opportunity. Insidious. Insidious 6. Insidious
Guys,
6.
Everybody listening. What? You're with me, right? You're with me.
In 666. The Further.
I just please say your piece.
I think I've only seen 1.5 of these Insidious movies. Let's see. I didn't have the egg. Maybe if I ate the egg, it would have got higher. I like eggs. And you said it was a bomb little egg.
It was.
Dang, that would change my mind.
I still haven't heard a good enough reason why it's at number 6.
It's because I peeked at your list and I put it there. No, that's not why.
So far you have it at number 6 because you haven't seen all the movies.
Well,
you didn't see Exorcist Believer, which I guess could be the reason you put it at number 10. But
you know what? I didn't see my old lady. Where's the little old lady? She was like, oh, she was saying the things.
Yeah, we heard her voice at the beginning.
Where was she? My lady. The red guy was up in the distance, like in the balconies over there. He wasn't over here.
What? He was in your face, like in the curtains and stuff. Did he see the same house, guys? Oh my gosh. This is shocking. This is worse. You're gonna get more backlash than The Exorcist. I'm gonna tell you right now.
Oh, I know you kept raving about it. It was like the longest thing and all that. Yeah, I guess you're a big fan of the movies.
Well, yeah, the movies are great. We're not talking about the movies though. We're talking about the house.
Well, look, I'll say this. I did not hate it like I did The Exorcist.
Oh, okay. You hated Exorcist. So this you did not hate. Okay. So
no, it winded nicely, and yeah, I suppose it did occupy more time than other houses, as you have said. It didn't leave a big impression for me.
I'm speechless, guys. I'm speechless. I think we should just move on. I don't know what to say here. I am shocked. I am genuinely shocked. Guys, back me up. Comment down below.
Well, look, if I'm not standing on business over here, then you can't really fight me, right? I don't have a foundation. It's like you're fighting sand. What are you gonna do?
All right, no more. That's your last words for that one.
Incestuous.
Okay, that's all right. So my number 6 through 4 were the hardest ones to rank for me. I literally sat there for nearly an hour trying to figure out where to put these. And to me, all three of them could be number 4. They really could. So it was very hard for me to place these three, and they could legit move around constantly for all of eternity on my list because they're so close. So close. But for now, my number 6 is A Quiet Place. And the only reason I decided to put it at 6 is because a lot of it was animatronics. Almost all the jump scares were animatronic, and that was really my only reason to put it at 6. As dumb as that sounds, but legit, I couldn't figure out where to place these 3 houses, and that was just what I decided to do. Was because this house was all animatronic. I mean, it wasn't entirely, but still, it was for that reason I put it there. Now, with that said, very, very well done house. I can't tell you how great everybody did with this house because it was said to be impossible to do a house like this. And I think they pulled it off the best they could possibly do it. From the get go, as soon as you walk into that house, you walk down a pitch black hallway with the sound muted. And if you caught it at the right time, the lights would flash and one of the animatronic monsters would get you. And it got me a couple times. It was the perfect start of the house. It was frightening. It was scary. And then you walk into that cold open. I mean, not cold open. You walk into that opening title scene of The Quiet Place. Walk through the cornfield. You see the silo with the corn in it, which we guessed would be in the house, and it was. Lots of what are they called? Lots of hearing aid noise in there, and I hate that sound so much. I wouldn't like knock off any points for that, but just that sound was a big part of the story, I guess. So
Yeah,
it was fine.
That feedback.
Yeah, the feedback was a part of killing the monsters, and it was everywhere throughout the house. No John Krasinski characters, and that's probably because he didn't sign off on the
Likeness.
likeness. He didn't sign off on the likeness of it.
Yeah, that's a bummer.
But I'm sure he had to sign off on having the house be there, so that's weird.
Yeah.
It's his thing. So, but the cellar scene where they clearly made the bloody nail, the flooded basement with the corn floating in there, just there was a lot of great moments, and even like little tiny holes with claws coming out of it would jump scare you. So they did pull off a lot of cool things. One thing I forgot to mention that kind of brought it down just a little bit was that first hallway when it's dark and the monster comes at you. Whenever it jumped at me with the light flashing, I was looking right at it, and when I looked right at it, I saw the person full on running it. Like they didn't even try very hard to block or to like hide them.
Oh wow.
And I don't think they were wearing anything to cover themselves. Like it was just somebody in a t-shirt. It looked like just
Wow, I did not see that.
running it. And that's not the scare actor's fault. It's just I wish they would have hit it a little bit better to where when I'm looking right at the monster, I'm not going to see a person. That might just
They
be
could have kept the cloak on that they always go between houses, right?
yeah.
Anything.
That might just be an obsessed fan's look at something. I mean, I'm sure the average person is not going to notice that, but
Yeah, maybe you don't put your head in the boo hole. No, I know you didn't.
that's my review of A Quiet Place. It's number 6 for now. Like I said, these ones can move around a little bit from 4 to 6, but
What? My number 5, my top half. Got major sweets up in here. I will say I don't think I went through the house as much. We ran into a fire alarm at one point. That's nothing. That has nothing to do with the house. Let's see. It smelled good, and there were interactive buttons, I suppose. That's not saying my reasoning. His design was so thought out, and for some reason, he didn't have as much of a showcase overall as the others. I think JJ's disappointed is so low. Like I said, I'm not a major sweets guy. Maybe that's why. I don't know. It's another candy factory. It's another. I don't know. It's the same reason Oddfellows was low last year. It was like, welcome to Oddfellows. It's like the gimmicky kind of Joker ripoff.
Okay. Okay, that's something. Yeah, I could see that.
But that's not to take away from the character. He's like fleshed out.
Mm-hmm.
But the voice itself, I mean, you can go to Six Flags and hear the Tower of Terror, exact same voice. You know, it's kind of generic, maniacal Joker type. I don't know.
Why'd you go Christopher Walken again there?
How am I always Christopher Walken? Was it
Maniacal. I don't know.
Well, you do it. You did it pretty good, Major Sweets. You were like nailing it.
Oh, Major Sweets Candy. I don't know. That's not good at all.
It was.
Yeah. Flip your lids, kids.
Whoa. Yeah, there it is. Is it the gravel? You're like getting the gunk in the throat for that.
Yeah.
There you go. Eat some candy. It'll help. Get sticky.
Speaking of those intro quotes, they didn't really think about the fact that the line is right outside of the entrance to that house. Like, you're never that far from the entrance. So that loop was only like 3 phrases, and throughout the entire line, you're hearing that over and over again. And it takes away from the quotes that you're supposed to hear for the first time at the entrance of the house, right before you walk in. But you're constantly listening to those things in the line. So that kind of hurt it a little bit.
Number 5.
My number 5 is Slaughter Cinema 2. Very, very entertaining fun house, in my opinion. I think the very first run we did during the first week was probably the best run we had, unfortunately. And that was pretty rare with these houses. But I just remember this house being so much fun the first time we saw it. It was a great first experience. Just not knowing what was coming next as far as like what movie we were about to see, what idea we were about to encounter.
Are you saying the ante was not upped on the second round? It wasn't like
not for me. Not for me. This house kind of stayed where it was at, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. I see that because each little thing has its own range of motion and its own limit to what they can do. Their pockets.
But I'm not saying it's a bad house at all. I still couldn't wait to see that house every night. Like, I was always excited to go back in there. One thing that brings it down for me, though, is I feel like a lot of the movies, or at least 2 or 3 of them, could have been taken out. Like, they could have made the other ones a little longer. My first example would be the Kris Kringle one. I know you love that one, but I just felt nothing really happened. There was an elf that they repurposed a Tooth Fairy mask for, and isn't Kris Kringle? Is Kris Kringle the wife of Santa Claus? Who does, or is that Santa Claus?
Santa's Kris Kringle.
He is, right? Where was he?
He was in the little window. He said, hold still."
I think I missed him. Oh, you know what? No. He was right on the right as soon as you walked in, right? Yeah, I did see him. Okay.
And he was like gonna either sledgehammer or axe you. I couldn't see, but
you know what? I do agree with your statement that, I guess you said the Jaws house. I think if this was a full house, like a full idea, like if they stretched it out and made it more longer and more to the story, I think it could work. Just a little sample of it didn't work for me. It was a little weird. Another one that I feel like they could have taken out, and don't hate me, it's Mummy Strippers Unchained, or whatever it was.
Yeah, it was kind of limited. It was just a stage and a hallway.
It wasn't scary. There was no jump scares in that room. It was just, a good-looking individual dancing on a stage.
Yeah, living their best life.
Yeah, and it just didn't fit for me. It didn't go with the house. So that could have been taken out.
I think I disagree with the Santa thing, though. They had a big bag. They had like 3 or 4 little scenes all in one. It was like kind of compact.
The highlights for me though were the first one, Zombie Girl Murders. Even Heavy Metal Hell 3D was kind of fun. And if I'm not mistaken, that was the only movie that had two rooms. Every other movie had its own room, or just one room. Because you walk in and it's the bedroom, and then you see the bed sideways along the wall, and it's cut in half with the body of the person that was sleeping there cut in half as well. I
Yeah.
thought that was a nice touch, and you walk through the bed and into quote unquote hell.
Stranger Things style, right? LeJock, you got spliced in half.
Yeah. And then you meet the heavy metal rocker skeleton dude that's been in all the merch this year. And then there was a chainsaw guy in there. I think that was kind of cool. That might be a cool idea for a whole house. I don't know, but that was a highlight for me.
Yeah, and he was a highlight for the overall event. Why is he such a? He got the spotlight. He got the posters. He got the symbology. He got the look. Dude.
But yeah, I just loved that we got to go back to the Cary Drive-In, the facade, seeing the facade outside again, seeing all those movie trailers. So much fun. Smelling that popcorn smell. It was just fun to go through another film festival type thing at the Cary Drive-In, and I really enjoyed it. And it's at my number 5. And if I'm not mistaken, Slaughter Cinema 1 was at my number 5 as well.
Wow, same slot. That's cool.
Mm-hmm. Now we're at number 4. James is number 4. Come on, James, don't disappoint.
Too late.
Oh.
Nah, my number 4, and it went down, and it probably doesn't deserve to be this high. I admit.
Oh, okay.
A Quiet Place. I put it there, and I this is the one I was telling you. Like, I know it deserves to be lower, but I want it higher, so it like met kind of in the middle, and it shifted everything else.
But remember, for me, my 4, 5, and 6, I said could shift all over the place. I couldn't figure out where to put them, so it could have been my number 4 as well. But I put it at number 6 because of the animatronic thing. That had to be my reasoning. It was my only thing I could find. But
actually, this might be in the same place it was. I'm trying to remember where it was. I think it's in the same place.
Your number 1 was A Quiet Place. I thought your number 1 was Quiet Place.
Wait, was it?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
For your hype was number 1.
That's right. Okay, yeah.
But I can agree with this. I think it deserves to be in that general area. Number 4 is fine. I think that's reasonable.
Yeah, let me compare this to something that you are adamantly disgusted with me. Insidious?
Yeah.
Okay. Kind of opposite effects. A Quiet Place, you don't necessarily have to see the movies to go through it. It kind of walks you through it. I mean, it has a dang title sequence. And each scene, like, progresses. And I'll admit, one thing, a big disappointment, there wasn't, like, a Richter scale, a decibel level, like, comparison, like, be quiet or don't. There's not really consequences. A little bummer, because I was testing it on the last one. I was starting to get loud, but look, my complaints. I got no complaints because they're beautiful to look at. The glistening ear clopses, dude.
Mm-hmm.
They are immaculate. Okay, they're fun to see and just observe.
You love the design of them.
Yeah, and there's so many of them, and the scenes and the deaf, the girl, she was the champion, and I saw the signs she was doing. I saw the sign. No, but she was pointing us along. Oh, one thing, the dude dragging under the
Dude,
garage.
I love that.
Yeah, that's great, but hilarious when he crawls back into position.
You see him like slowly slide back, like
Yeah.
shh. You didn't see anything.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, the scenes were fully on display. You saw the stairs with the nail. You saw the flooded basement, fully visible, fully.
Something I didn't mention is if you had the right group around you, the quietness was deafening. Like it was weird to be going through a haunted house that was super quiet, but it worked so well. Like the tension was there.
Yeah.
And I did love that about this house.
Yeah, because you can notice the micro reactions of strangers. That's kind of special. As long as there's participants, it was.
Mm-hmm. And it happened more. It happened often where we got a good group of people that were trying to stay quiet. I mean, I had a run or two where people were talking or screaming all the time or whatever, but most of the time people were playing along and it was quiet. It was fun.
Yeah, and the illusion of the deep water. I'll say it again. Like we got the floating corn, we got a floater, and it's not that deep. And I want to do a cannonball on that.
You know, it's not real water, right?
It's not even water.
No.
Woo! Very nice. No silo though.
There was a silo.
Oh, there was a silo.
Yeah. In one of the first scenes, they had the silo, and it had the kid in there, and it had the kid was a mannequin, but they had a monster in there that would jump out.
That's not a silo. That's a safe, right?
Nope, it was a silo. It had the corn in it and everything.
It was.
Mm-hmm. It was in there.
Okay.
You walk right past it. It
Because
wasn't.
I was going to mention the safe too. That's a good detail.
It wasn't to scale though. It was kind of small, but it had the hole in it on the side, and the kid was in the corn, and the monster was in there with him, and it would pop out and scare the guest. That's a bummer you missed that.
I like the inclusion of the second movie. You know, the boat.
The boat dock.
That's a great scene.
Which again, I talked about first impressions. Yeah. It was a repurposed scene from Yeti.
Right.
We just walked in from the opposite side of the set, but it was the same set as Yeti. But that's okay. It worked.
And I wasn't mad at the yeller this time. The first time it seemed he didn't do as good, but this time he like jerked away. I still wish there was like an old school like stage, cane to pull him off, but it was the monster arm just to yank. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes. Like the cartoon Looney Tunes thing. Yeah,
hook.
Totally. All right, I'm going for my number 4 now, and the first week, this house was probably my number 8 or 9, but it jumped up a lot because of the second trip that we did, and because I paid attention to the story a lot this time, and I actually liked the idea of the story. It is Triplets of Terror made it to number 4 for me. At first, I was pretty disappointed in this house, to where, again, it was going to be at the bottom of my list. And it's no surprise to me that it was at the bottom of yours, but I just decided to pay a lot of attention to it and think about the concept of it. I loved it. So what I picked up with the story was when you walk in, the very first room, they are kids. The triplets are kids having their birthday party, and they kill their parents at their own birthday. That is the very first scene that we see. And after that scene, we walk into a podcast room where they are talking about these 3 killers that appear every 10 years to recreate their birthday party where they killed their parents. But each time they do it, every decade, they are in a different town. So as we are going through that house, it is another decade every scene.
Oh, that's neat.
And as the scenes progress, they are getting older and older and older. At the very end, they are all grayed up and wrinkled and crouched over, or hunched over, sorry. And at the very end, you see and hear the sirens and the helicopter that they've been caught, and that might be because they're old and they can't do what they used to do. So to me, it was a great idea, and once I knew the idea, I loved it a lot more. And again, it wasn't the easiest to pick up on that first week, but since I had paid attention to it that second week, I picked up on a lot of things. I understood it more, and that made me like it a lot more. Another thing I want to talk about is the dead dog in the house. I didn't see a lot of backlash about it this year. You walk in and they murdered this dog, and they didn't just murder it. They cut the thing in half and put it on top of the washing machine. So if you don't already know, back in 2019, there was a house called Depths of Fear. In that house, it was like an underwater base of some kind. And in that base where these people were living, they had a picture of a dog at the beginning of the house. And later on in the house, you find that dog dead. And because of that, they had a lot of backlash. What was funny is that right next door, the other tent, it had a dead horse at the facade. That was okay.
Horses are big and gross and with a big mosquito face. What the heck?
But also Horror Nights does like dead babies and stuff. That's okay. But once it's a dog, it's over.
Yeah.
But just a fun house. I enjoyed I just enjoyed the concept. I do like how it's very Rob Zombie-esque. It could have been a Rob Zombie movie, the three from hell type of thing, or Devil's Rejects, whatever. It did have that vibe. It could have been a ripoff of it, whatever. Overall, that's what I have to say about it. I did really enjoy it, and I think it's a strong number 4 for me.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's a shame I didn't know the progression, That might have changed things.
Yeah, I thought I explained it to you, but I guess I didn't. I think I might have explained it to the fam when we were walking through the later runs. But yeah, it is a shame you didn't pick up on the story because that might have helped. I mean, now that you know, can you look back on it and say, "Oh, well, that makes sense," or no, it's just kind of the same?
I'll tell you what stands out: the fridge kill. But
Yes.
if I didn't notice them aging, I'm not gonna recall it looking back. I just know going through. I was noticing the houses more than the pop-ups occasionally. I wasn't getting a good look at the scarers.
Yeah. If I'm not mistaken, the one that you're talking about, they were teenagers in that year because I was 10 years after they were, kids. I was like the following scene, like the first time they returned. So you could tell how they were supposed to be teenagers in that era.
And it's a guy and two girls, right? The triplets, or what are they?
Yes. Yeah. It's the big guy and then the.
See, that's another thing I was trying to grasp going through. I was like, okay, there's definitely a girl, a guy. And I was trying to think, is it another girl or a guy?
There's a short girl with the bunny ears, like the Bob's Burgers.
Yeah. Louise. I wouldn't put it past her.
All right, James, you're number 3. Let's do this.
I like to say I don't get influenced. Look, I thought this was going to be a bigger deal. I don't know, Goblin's Feast. I thought it was. I got influenced. All right. I like the little details, the little touches. I mean, admittedly, yes, I got the goblins. Who's a goblin? Who's a orc? Who's a hobgoblin? I don't know, but
hey, that's pretty high, man.
I like the fun they were. Yeah, I started with the high ones, and then I sorted around. So.
Mm-hmm. But you're saying the fact that a lot of people were liking it, it influenced you to have it kind of high?
Yeah, and you were pointing this out and that out, and the tall statue. I was like, oh, good details.
Mm-hmm.
And so I kind of preemptively predicted, like, oh, I guess
that's his
I'll
favorite.
play to the. Yeah, I don't know.
I tricked you.
Yeah. Just tell me to put
my bad
Insidious to the top. I'll do it. You can cheat. No, but I did have fun, and when I think of these, I think I try and remember them. I mean, that's a big thing with what stands out. What even left an impression. Like if I go through on like, or what, and it's not going to stick. Triplets, prime example. But goblins, they were having fun. They were eating, and you could see the body parts right off the bat. It was obvious. It wasn't like you're not fooling anyone. There's humans. You're eating humans, and then you pointed out the little chop shop thing in the front. That's fun.
It is fun. It is fun. I'll admit that. It's great.
I want to know those big hands. Was that at work? Did we have a giant Shrek up in there that like we didn't know in the shadows? He's not at work, but you know what I'm saying.
It's either supposed to be the orc or the ancestors.
Not a statue, right? That was a living hand.
No, that was a living hand. It was supposed to be like a living
big old hand.
Yeah.
Like body size.
Like giant.
Yeah, King Kong. No, but Goblin's Feast.
Funny enough you say that. There was a one of the tribute stores they did had Kong in it, and that was Kong's hand. They repurposed it from a tribute store.
Sweet. Yeah, literally his hand.
Yeah. All right, that's it for you.
Yeah, I think so. Let me think of the end. I was just running through it in my head.
Okay.
Oh yeah, in the very end, as you're leaving, they're like the food is escaping. Or something. Yeah. So that's interactive, that puts you in it. That's immersive. That's what I look for. These is immersion.
That is cool. You are right. Like
I want immersion.
Like it works for the story that we're actually walking through. Like they're trying to eat us and then we get away.
They put us in the story. I like that.
Mm-hmm. That's cool. But then at the very end, like he also says, "A good goblin's feast to you."
Yeah, what the heck? Well, maybe he's the vegan of the group.
Oh man,
he opened the gates. He's like. He's the PETA goblin.
Oh man! All right. What am I at right now? Number 3? My number 3? Yeah. Okay.
Top 3.
My number 3 is, and by the way, from here on, Amazing Houses. Number 3 is Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. I had a blast in this house. This was the perfect showcase of Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. I think they nailed all the iconic scenes. The actor that they picked for Dan Aykroyd, at least in one of the cast, I think we saw the same cast every time we went in there because I always remember him. They nailed his casting. He was great. It took me till the second trip to notice the mini marshmallow men actually were moving on the shelves, like they were little mini
I noticed that.
animatronics.
I noticed it at the end with the secretary, but
Okay.
I hadn't seen it on the shelf at the first. So
Okay. And then right after that room, we walk into the opening scene of the movie with the firefighters, and it's like in the frozen realm. And I will never forget that first run we did where Garaka came out, got me really good, and we kept walking forward, and I just hear you release this blood curdling scream because the firefighter comes out and just scares the hell out of you. And I laughed so hard. I loved it. And the best part is that it happened again the second trip. And I think it was the last run.
same scare.
The same scare actor jumped at you. And it's because I looked at you and I think you were expecting for him to pop out somewhere because you were like, oh, and like it looked like you just remembered he was there and you were like looking around for him and then he came and got you. And it's funny because I think he bumped you again. Because the first time he kind of bumped you, because I listened back to the live episode and I hear you say he kind of bumped me a little bit. and I'm pretty sure I saw him bump you that second time.
It's not even that crazy of a scare. It's just the timing. It's the perfect timing.
And the sound effects really loud too, but
I guess the location.
It was just the perfect placement for it, I think.
Yeah.
Another favorite of mine of this house is the fact that they included a lot of Easter eggs of the sequel of Ghostbusters, like the original part 2. And I didn't notice that the first week we went through. But I did notice that we go into the sewers and the sewer dragon's there, which is from Frozen Empire. But there's also the slime, the purple slime or the pink slime from part 2 is in the sewers, just like it is in the movie.
Ooh.
So I thought that was a nice touch. Another thing...
That's cool. They tied the future and the past together.
Yeah. And another thing that I noticed is that the villain, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, the villain from part 2 was in the containment cells of...
Dang.
Yeah. He was at the very end on the right. He was in one of the cells. He actually would pop out because you kind of walked and turned right, and at that right turn, he would pop out on the side. So you could see him in the glass, but then you got surprised by him around the corner as well. The fact that they put another reference to part 2 is great. A lot of people were asking for a part 2 house, so it was great to see a couple of nods to it. I'm sure you're going to talk about this, but you got another big scare from a Garaka at the very end of the house on the last night.
Same as Monster Roast. It's pretty much exact.
Yeah. You were not expecting it either. It was fantastic, dude. But all the Garakas in there, man, were so good. I loved it. I would cheer them on every time I saw them. They put the firehouse in this house, which was a big complaint with the first Ghostbusters house, and they also put the Ecto 1 in there. You know, they had Winston in there kind of firing at the possessed car.
Yeah.
And the car would kind of push out.
He was like the one legacy Ghostbuster, no?
Well, besides Dan Aykroyd.
Yeah, but he wasn't fully decked out.
Yeah, he wasn't. He was retired. You were right. So, Bill Murray didn't sign on, it looked like.
Nah, so our hero.
Yeah. There was Finn Wolfhard characters, and I believe Paul Rudd's character was in there. But super fun house. Man, I'm going to miss it. I loved it. To me, it was the biggest shock of the year. Like, I think it was 10 for you on your hype list, and number 9.
Ghostbusters?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it was that low.
Mm-hmm.
Number 10, no.
Yep.
Ghostbusters? Oh, wait a minute.
Mm-hmm.
It was because I was calling it a cash grab.
Yep, you had it at number 10, and I think mine was 9. I'm
right.
like 99% sure you had it at number 10. So this was the biggest surprise this year for me, and I never would have guessed that. I mean, the first time that we saw it and walked out of the house, we were apologizing to Ghostbusters for how low we had it on our list.
Most improved award.
It was definitely the most improved award. So it's going to be a house that will be missed.
You know what it is? It's because the movie gave us some expectations, right? Because the previous was better. And so we went in thinking like,
that's another thing. I was disappointed a little bit in the movie. I did like it, the Ghostbusters movie. I'm a Ghostbusters fan, but it just didn't hit as hard as Afterlife did for me. But the house was better than the movie, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, we're getting down to it. Hey man, I got Monsteros up in here.
That is high, dude. That is very high.
Yeah, I'll tell you why. The Garaka scare is worse.
It was
in the Monsteros version. I think I said that backwards. You know what I'm saying? But or you understood that backwards?
You're saying that the Garaka scare got you worse than the Monstro scare.
No, you threw me off. You mentioned the Ghostbusters scare, and we had talked. Okay, never mind. Let me redo.
So your number 2 is not Monstros?
No, my number 2 is Monstros, but it's because of that above scare. I mean, also, I mean, of course, all of the lore, the history, the legends.
Wow, so that final scare that's literally outside the house that got you so hard that made you crumble on the ground. That is the reason you have it at number 2.
Almost made a scene, almost made people assume he has defiled his trousers. I didn't, okay. I promise.
There was a pretty foul smell there for the rest of the event.
I was stuck in a squat that I had to fight my way out of. That's all. That's all. That's normal. Everyone does it.
And then he waddled away. Waddle.
Yeah, I kind of crawled away.
So really, that's the only reason you had this at number 2 was that last scare. It just got you that hard. There was nothing else about it that put it there.
Well, I don't want to give credit to like 100% to the big old bird because that's Hollywood's credit. But that scene
with the animatronic,
yeah. Oh, you know what's a big one? The gravestone that says "tú." I was like, hey, that's what my grandpa used to call me. Eres tú. Yeah, before my grandpa called me every other cousin's name, he would just give up and say "tú."
That is something that I forgot to talk about. Is toward the end, I think it was like one of the last scenes. A lot of complaints were that the El Muerte character was this weird spirit Halloween animatronic and not a real person. What happened there? Why? It would just very badly turn its head to the left to look at us and then move back.
It's fine. If that's your complaint, you know what's funnier of a complaint is why is there a gravestone that says "you" on it? This is like
because it's supposed to be us.
I know, but it's hilarious. It's someone engraved. It's someone engraved.
You know, one thing I want to give credit to them for, there was a really good scare, is every time you went into a legend's like domain, there was this artwork of them and it was screened to where through the screen you could see a mannequin of that character. So the first one was Stella Pucci, mannequin. Then the next one was El Celebon. It was a mannequin behind that screen. The third one was the La Lechuza, and it was a real person. And I feel like that was done on purpose. Like it was made, it was there to make you believe that it was always going to be a statue or a mannequin. And then boom.
And the giant, sweaty El Celebon face, like,
oh, yes.
I love how he followed you and then he jerked away. Like, dude, it's hilarious. It's so charismatic. That
person that was running that was probably the best scare actor of that house because
he lifts, he does.
That person paid attention if you were looking right at it to see if it was going to do anything. And once you did, it would get right in your face and like a real fast jolt. Man, that thing was great.
Yeah, that puppeteer was on it. He was honed in. He was handling it like it was nothing.
Yeah, I got a lot of good scares from that one. All right, now for my number 2. You see, James, my number 2 is another house that I majorly disagreed with you
Oh,
I just didn't want to say much whenever you said it, but it did hurt. It hurt me a lot. And that's Major Sweet's Candy Factory. I think you had it very low for how good this house was. To me, it broke the curse of Fast and Furious, which by the way, wasn't a huge curse because Chucky wasn't that bad to me. It was fun. A lot of people just hated so much on it. That was not the worst house I've ever seen at Horror Nights. And that was just from the time I've been going. I've heard there's been way worse ones. Also, before that was Blumhouse Volume 3. I thought that one was fine. So it's not like it was a horrible run of houses. It was just like kind of mid tier, decent house. This one was so much fun. Definitely the best house this venue has seen. Of course, it was a different layout this go around, and I kind of liked it. I kind of liked that there wasn't a break in between. Although we were just only in the tent, I think this tent was much longer than before. This house felt very long for being in a tent in that small space at Fast and Furious. It felt long. It felt like it just kept going. I will say that the podcast episode that Universal put out did help a lot with knowing the story. Myself seeing the actual scare zone did affect it. I know you didn't get to see the scare zone, so that might have affected you a little bit.
I'll tell you in a minute what also affected, but you go on.
But just knowing the story of the kids going on a field trip to the candy factory, and we're the chaperones that are going on the field trip with them. The kids go off on their own, and Major Sweets and his wife kind of take control of the kids and feed them this candy that kind of possesses them to do evil things and kill the adults.
Is she the wife? Mistreats.
Mistreats is the wife.
She's cool. I like her.
Yes, and this is all a prequel to the scare zone, and it's funny because one of the first rooms that you walk into, there is a kind of blueprint of the downtown area, and it says parade route on it. So that had to do with the scare zone. So there was a hint at they were planning the whole, taking over the town at the Halloween festival, which was a great touch. But I just love the fact that this house was so Halloween. It had to do with Halloween candy, and the Halloween candy is what made these kids go crazy and start killing the adults and killing them in brutal ways. This house was gory. I mean, there was so many cool things that this house had. I mean, we're talking about a milk trough with the pipe shoved down one of the adults' throats. We had candy wrapped heads going up a conveyor belt. We had intestines being wrapped in taffy, conveyor belts. Just so many things. This house brought back the GATs, which we hadn't seen in a couple years. The guest activated triggers. One of the triggers just kind of made a sound, as far as I could tell. Another one brought out a fake rat, and the rat squirted you with water, or I don't know, maybe it was supposed to be something else, rat pee. I don't know what it was supposed to be.
And that rat was evolving. He was also affected by the candy.
I don't know if you noticed, there was a lot of dead rats everywhere. There was one rat at the beginning, but then I was also seeing dead rats everywhere. So this candy factory was infested with rats, which was a funny touch. There's just so much I enjoyed about it. It just felt like a classic Halloween Horror Nights house. The story was perfect. It was very easy to follow. The gore was perfect. The vibes were perfect. And the amount of fun was perfect. And it was funny too in some places. Like something that gory being funny. I don't know. I loved it. It was a hit for me. It did go up from the first time we went, but not a lot.
Something that can't be helped. It's inherent to it that is always going to be a point against, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. Just carnivals, circus, candy, that vibe. I'm not into, same thing with the last year. I'm just not, it's a icky, and it takes away from me. I don't want to be in that environment. So, I mean, maybe that's a point in its favor, mm-hmm. but yeah, it's going to fall into that category for me. The gross, I can't do it.
I mean, I get the carnival thing. I don't get the candy thing with this one because I don't know. It's perfect. It's Halloween. Like, carnivals are overdone. I get that part, but
It just it's too similar.
I love the evil Willy Wonka aspect. It was fun and just some great sets and great scares and
Oh yeah, the design you can't
dude.
fight it. You need that on a hockey jersey.
I mean, we had barrels of guts and eyeballs and like the candy rings, the lifesaver things. Just the detail in there was great. This was one of the highlights this year. Although some of the houses were kind of mid, this was done right
Bring
for
him
me.
back for an icon. Dedicate it to him.
What did you have this at? Number 6 or number 5?
5.
I guess that's not too bad, but still, man, I thought you were gonna have it higher. I really enjoyed Major Suites, but this brings us to your number 1, and I know what it is, and you did it again, dude.
Yep.
2 years in a row.
I didn't plan it.
2 years in a row. This dude put a house at number 10 in their hype, and it ended up at his number 1.
I'm weird, I'm indecisive until pull the trigger.
Every time you put a number 10 house in your hype, I'm going to say, well, that's going to be your favorite.
Maybe. Yeah, I mean that's the pattern so far. Yeah, I got Ghostbusters. It's I was already confusing it with the scare because it's both the same terrible scare at the end, the stilt guy. But yeah, aside from all the love letter that Ghostbusters was, and it maintained the legacy, and it was a cash grab. Okay, they made good money on this, but
yeah, they did.
But they did it right. I mean, I got to give it to him, Dan Aykroyd. It's his heart. And dude, if I didn't crap my pants at the Monsteros, that was like, okay, let's rate this. That was like a 3. This took it to 10.
Really? And this was the final run that we did of Ghostbusters on the final night.
Yeah.
We walk out of the house, and there's the stilt walker again, waiting for James, the Garaka scare actor, and they get right in your face. And just put you on the ground.
That one frazzled me, and I had to like recover. I was like, dude, hands out.
I was laughing so hard, and I kind of put my hands out and did the bow in front of him, like I'm not worthy, type of thing. and the Garaka scare actor put his arms out and bowed. It was like a thank you.
Yeah. So I think worst scare of all time I've ever had. That was a full body electrocution, and I like jumped. I think I was off the ground.
What I don't understand is how do you trust the exits of these houses?
Dude, because it's cheating. That's not the house anymore. That's out of your domain.
The thing is, you've seen this before. This happened in Haunting of Hill House, and it got you the same way, dude. The tall man at the very end of that house got you the same way, and you still be trusting these houses.
Trust is a strong word. I'm just looking over my shoulder at the other ones coming out. Then you turn around, pure safety. And there you murdered. I haven't had a scare like that. I mean, before that, it was the other stilt walker, and it was this same year.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think it's a good number 1. I'm not going to argue with it. There's other things that I wish you would have put higher, but I don't have a problem with Ghostbusters being number 1. It deserves to be in that general vicinity of the list. So now, this is where I want to talk.
I'm not counting cards. I'm dumb. I should know by now. Wait, I'm not even going to look. I want to be surprised. I'm not going to think.
Well, James, I mean, I think I made a stink about it earlier. So,
okay.
Yeah. My number 1, and okay, here's the thing. I tried really hard not to put this at number 1 because of influence. Because I'm going to tell you that probably 95 or higher % of people had this at number 1. And I tried really, really hard to not have it at number 1. I don't know why. I just didn't want to be the same. I just couldn't. I could not put this. I don't even know how to say that. I could not put this at number 1. Insidious the Further. But at number 6?
Dude, just spit out your number 1. Do your spiel.
Ugh. Get out of here. Now, Insidious the Further, dude. These scare actors were on their game. One after another. This was a scary house. The scariest house of the year. The longest house I've ever encountered. it was just the perfect HHN house this year. I'm not going to say it was the best of all time. It was the best of this year by far, by a lot, in my opinion. From the time you walk around the corner for the first time and see the hallway with the banners and that giant red door, you get that feeling of dread and like, oh no, shit's about to get real. And something you didn't mention is right after the red door, you see the house facade, and there's the dude going back and forth. Like, I think it's he's got your baby, or it had something to do with that. But the guy's kind of walking back and forth, and he kind of broke his pattern of walking back and forth because as soon as he turned around to go back, he immediately turned back and got you, and you're like, "Oh, you're not supposed to do that."
Oh, just the porch guy?
Yeah,
That was the laziest little wimpy scare, and he killed me. Ah, I'm ashamed of that one.
the
actually.
laziest wimpy scare, but he got you hard.
I looked away for a split second, and there he was. Yeah, that hurt. That hurt my pride.
But it's not just that, dude. The whole house. I mean, they did the right thing and they put the whole house in the further. The entire house takes place in the further. As soon as we walk through that red door, we are in the further and we get to see every single demon, monster, whatever of the series. We see them all. Dude, the freaking lady in black was terrifying in person. Like in the movies is one of the scariest parts of those movies. But those jump scares with that lady in black, nightmares. But I thought it was a blast. It was just the fact I got to encounter that was incredible. I mean, after that, the whole sequence of the tiptoe through the tulips in the red demon, the red faced demon's lair. Like we go through those red curtains and there's like 4 or 5 of those guys. Maybe it's not even that. It could have been 2 or 3, and they had like double-sided boo holes because we were kind of going kind of around. In those red curtains, it was just boom, 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 boom scares of the red face demon, and it got me multiple times. Like, how did you not enjoy the hell out of this house and get scared constantly by it? I don't know. Maybe you just had misses or something. I don't know. This was the top-notch house this year.
I have a feeling I was focused more on the reactions.
Maybe.
I was looking less at the house and more at the fam.
Yeah, because when my family joined us this second time, they were terrified of this house. They were dreading this house so much, and I on purposely put it last in the night because I made them wait. But just the fact of them waiting for this house, it probably made them even more scared as the night went on. It was kind of lingering, but in that house, they were screaming. I mean, they just like you were collapsing on the ground for those Stillwalkers, they were doing it over and over again.
Yeah.
The lady in black, there was a couple of scares where they would come out from each side one after another, and those scare actors were getting them hard too. Yeah, just looking back and seeing them crumble on the ground over and over again and screaming their heads off. That's another reason I had so much fun in this house. Like watching other people just get nailed.
And they were deeply affected you.
Absolutely wrecked. I'm talking wrecked in this house. I cannot express enough. By far, number one. It should be number one on everybody's list, and I understand why it mostly is. James had it at number 6 or whatever.
Devil horns.
He's as wrong as putting Exorcist at 10. Like, how can you put this house at number 6? Maybe 2 or 3. Okay, fine. 6. Get out of here.
You know, call me jaded or what. Like jump scares, I got some of the worst jump scares ever. But in my head, I don't really consider jump scares like true fear, right? Like I don't get nightmares like some of your family. They were talking about they were seeing those guys in their dreams.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's intense. I don't get that, but I'll get electrified. Man, I don't know. That's my bad, I guess.
You know, I had heard everybody talk about the original Insidious house that was in a tent at 25, I believe. Sorry if that's wrong. I think it was 25. That apparently that was A lot of people say it was the scariest house of all time. The fact that we got to see another Insidious house, and I think it might have been the scariest one for me. I think out of all the houses I've done, that might be the scariest. It might be fighting Scarecrow a little bit. Scarecrow was scarier in a whole different way. But I do enjoy the Insidious movies, and they are scary jump scare movies. Like they're genuinely creepy, and just being able to walk through that setting. I mean, there was nothing like it, nothing like that feeling. So great house. I give props to Universal for making this just a banger house. I think I had it on at number 6 or 7 on my hype. So that shows how much I was expecting it to not be like that crazy or that intense. So, yeah, that's what I got to say. Strong number 1, dude. Strong number 1.
A house divided cannot stand. I want to talk overall at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, it seemed a little bit scatterbrained this year, and that's the overall theme that we keep coming back to.
I agree. Mm-hmm.
Very scatterbrained. Icons was like unfocused. We got the sinister and surreal, but we got Deddy, I'm calling him, the skeleton punk, and
from Slaughter Cinema.
And then Major Sweets had a shot. He had a whole store converted for him.
He should have been the icon. They should have themed some kind of Halloween candy theme to this year, and it would have worked better probably.
Yeah. And unforgivable, I will not understate this. The threes. I'm shaking. How do you miss that? The one year you can put the E's backwards. Oh, you got the 33. You're 33. It's a no-brainer.
I agree. The overall lineup just wasn't up to par with what we've been used to. Again, there wasn't a bad house, but just the level they were all at basically was kind of mid-tier. I need more time to sit on this and linger. It's only been a couple of days since we've come back from the last night, so I need some time to think about it. But this is either my least favorite or second least favorite year.
Overall
year. I'm not sure where it's going to go. I wish we could have a battle episode for it, but I only attended my current least favorite year. You missed it, so I wouldn't know how to do that.
It's worth a discussion. We could think about it.
Yeah. So yeah, I do need time to think about it, so it's not fresh on the mind. Because usually when it's fresh on the mind, you're like, oh, that's the better one. Let me kind of sit on it and think about other stuff.
Hey, and fresh off of last year, a beautifully put together year.
Last year we kind of decided that it was our second favorite.
Yeah, I really was trying not to hold the perfectness of last year against this, but it's just blatant.
Yeah,
I mean,
last year was very strong, and going to this year, very different vibes, very different lineup. It was just off, but the scare actors helped a lot. They worked with what they got, and they gave it their all, and they kicked ass.
Killed it. And y'all keep killing it. I want to see y'all again.
Yeah.
And shout out, leave a comment. I don't know.
But that concludes HHN33 and the coverage of HHN33 for our show. We might come back for one of our early season 4 episodes and discuss like a comparison, do another campfire debate or something for this year. It would be interesting to talk about 32 versus 33 and 33 versus 31. I mean, if we do with 33 and 32, it's going to be an obvious win, I think. But
bring back the campfire.
Yeah, I think we should definitely do something where we talk about comparisons of other years.
Yeah,
we'll figure it out.
But for now, I mean, what better place to stop than 33rd episode ever?
Perfect. Worked out perfect for us.
Yeah.
But we are looking forward to covering HHN34 next year. We plan to do the same thing, start early like we did before, and do a bunch of episodes, and hopefully we can keep putting them out, and hopefully we can keep getting people listening. And I just want to thank every single person that has listened all this season. We have gotten lots of followers this year, lots of new followers, and it's heartwarming that you guys are listening and checking us out. And I hope you continue to listen. It's very cool stuff. Thanks for listening. Thanks for interacting with us on social media. Means the absolute world. So,
Yeah.
And 34 is going to be fun. Michael Aiello just announced that he has completed all his work with Epic Universe and is moving back to being the head honcho director of Halloween Horror Nights.
Back on track.
We're back on track. So I believe the last one he did was HHN30. It might have even been 29 was his last one. So it's been a few years since we've seen Michael Aiello do some stuff or be like full on a part of the creativity of it. So I cannot wait to see what they come up with. Hopefully we can get some top tier houses next year that will improve from this year.
Yeah, excited for what the off season holds as well.
Mm-hmm.
Opportunity.
What rumors are going to pop up?
Yeah.
What's going to be the first to pop up? Michael Aiello did post that they have already been in full swing of creating HHN34. So it's already been in the works for a bit now, and it's exciting. We're going to know stuff within pretty much a few months. By January or February, there's already some pretty strong rumors about what's coming. So just be on the lookout for some new episodes. We're probably going to take a little bit of a small break, a little small hiatus for the off season, just to get a breather for a month or two, and I'm sure we'll be back within the new year for some rumor updates for the new season. So,
hey, can I honor Bill and Ted real quick?
Yeah.
Do a little explanation to the be excellent to each other. When Bill and Ted, they talked about what it means, like, and the party on dudes is an important part of that because it, be nice, yeah, but go out into the world, party on dudes, go out and interact, mingle, participate with people, with the world, with your peers. That's why I always close off with be excellent to each other. So Bill and Ted, dude, rest in peace. What the heck? I miss them.
Rest in pieces.
Come back.
Well, it's late, guys. It's pretty late for us. We're tired. We're still tired from our trip, and we're here recording super late at night. So it's time for us to go. It's been a great season. Thank you for listening once again. Follow us on all our social medias at Instagram, Twitter, Threads, and Blue Sky at HHN Obsession. And please, 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 if you love the show, if you love the episodes, please give us a 5-star review on Apple Music and on Spotify. And don't forget, you can now leave a comment below the episode on Spotify. So give us a comment. Give us your thoughts on this year, what your favorite house was, your rankings, whatever you want to do. Let us know your thoughts. It'll be fun. So,
and leave a comment, but don't be too mean to me. I know I was.
Leave all the insidious comments about it being a number 6, please. I want to see them.
I need some insidious insults.
Yeah. On that note, good night, everybody. We'll see you for HHN34.
Be excellent to each other.
And party on, dudes.
Woo! Nice.
Step into the darkness where the monsters reign. Haunted houses with names that strike fear and pain. Slaughter number 2, goblins feast and more. Halloween horror nights, come and explore. Above all others, fear stands tall. A powerful presence commanding all. In the midst of the screams and the fright, on this haunted night. Forget our worries, leave them behind. Halloween horror nights, a saving grace we find. Amidst of the screams and the fright, we come together on this haunted night. Forget our worries, leave them behind. Halloween horror nights, a saving grace we find.
Hey everyone, just wanted to give a quick shout out to my good friend Zach Weber, who provided our intro and outro song, Heebie Jeebies. You can listen to the full version of Heebie Jeebies on iTunes, Spotify, Pandora, or anywhere where you listen to your favorite music. Thanks for listening.